Hello everyone, my name is Mary Jane Lingo and I'm going to talk to you about ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Ethnocentrism is judging another culture solely with the values and standards of one's own culture. It is like looking at what another culture does and judging it as wrong because it doesn't fit in with what you were taught. This is an example of ethnocentrism. She doesn't know why someone would wear those clothes because it wasn't tough to her in her culture. Ethnocentric. Ethnocentric individuals judge other groups relative to their own ethnic group of culture, especially with concern for language, behavior, customs, and religion. They are also evaluating other peoples and cultures according to the standards of one's own culture. These ethnic distinctions and subdivisions serves to define each culture ethnicity unique and cultural identity. According to William G. Sumner, ethnocentrism is defined as the technical name for the view of things in which one's own group is the center of everything and all others are scaled and rated with reference to it. Sumner further characterized it as often leading to pride, vanity, belief of one's own group's superiority, and contempt of outsiders. In the study of anthropology, people born into a particular culture that grow up absorbing the values and behaviors of culture will develop a worldview that considers their culture to be the norm. Some culture may be similar of overlap in ideas or concepts. However, some people are in the sense shocked to experience differences may have encountered with individuals culturally different than themselves. What is cultural relativism? Cultural relativism is the principle that an individual person's beliefs and activities should be understood by others in terms of that individual's own culture. It is also the ability to understand a culture on its own terms and not to make judgment using the standards of one's own culture. The goal of this is to promote understanding of cultural practices that are not typically part of one's own culture. According to Franz Boas, Boas first articulated the idea in 1887, civilization is not something absolute, but is relative and our ideas and conceptions are true only so far as our civilization goes. Boas, also originally trained in physics and geography, argued that one's culture may mediate and thus limit one's perception in less obvious ways. This understanding of culture confronts anthropologists with two problems. First, how to escape the unconscious band of one's own culture, which inevitably bias our perception of and reactions to the world. Second, how to make sense of an unfamiliar culture. In generalization of that, ethnocentrism is the tendency to assume that one's own culture and way of life represent the norm or are superior to all others, while cultural relativism is the viewing of people's behavior from the perspective of their own culture.